Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. You're seeing this, or if you're seeing this when it's actually uploaded and goes public, on a Monday, different day than usual. I know usually on a Sunday, but Sunday, aka yesterday, was my birthday. So I actually spent the day reading the book that I am here to review because my family are away on holiday over my birthday. So we actually celebrated my birthday last Sunday. So I've already celebrated my birthday just a week earlier. So yesterday was more a chill day for me at home, which was lovely. And I need to show you a couple of cushions that my mum and dad got me because I love them to bits. They are pride of place on my bed. So the first one is this one, which says, "A day without reading is like just kidding, I have no idea," which is great. And this one, I really like, that it says, "You can't buy happiness, but you can buy books," and that's the same thing. That's kind of the same thing, shall I say. So yeah, so I got those two for my birthday from my mum and dad as part of my present, and I absolutely love them, and I just wanted to share them with you. My present from my sister is something that I am so excited to share with you guys, but it's not here yet. So I know what's coming, but it's not physically here with me yet. And when it is, I'm going to do a video on it because it is for certain going to impact my plan of reading for the rest of the year. So it's not drastically going to change it, it's just this is going to be an additional thing to it. But I will explain all of that, of course, when it arrives, and then I can show you what it is. But yes, I am very, very, very excited for this. It was kind of out the blue that this was going to be happening because, you know, during the course of the year, things happen. You start focusing on things and you get drawn to something. You know, I've had it happen to me multiple times with books and such. Suddenly an author just is on your radar and you want to read everything from them. So yeah, I'm in that kind of headspace at the moment, and my sister's amazing present, well, it's going to significantly add to my TBR list, but I don't care because I'm so excited. But I will do a video on that when I get them. And also, just so that you're aware, my holiday, because I'm on holiday this week from work, which I'm very happy about because last week I was not a happy bunny. I was stressed out my head so much. But I'm not going to go over that. My holiday this week actually got cancelled. Unfortunately, due to the train strikes that are happening in the UK this week, I cannot physically get to Stratford-upon-Avon unless I get a taxi, which will cost me over £100 one way, and I've got to get back again a couple of days after I'm due to go there. I have tried everything: coaches, buses, you name it, different train routes if possible. Where they're open, because the days that I would be travelling are non-strike days, but even then the timetable is very limited of where you can get to. And basically, if I get on a train on either of these non-strike days, I will get stranded in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere near my destinations. So yeah, so I've had to cancel my holiday, which I'm gutted about, but put things in perspective. It was only a couple of days away. I've gotten all of my money back. The RSC, though, they don't refund tickets, but instead they've put a ticket credit on my account so that when I buy my next ticket from the box office for the RSC, that credit will pay for it, basically. So yeah, of the same amount. Obviously, if it costs a little bit more, the ticket I want to buy, than the credit, then obviously I have to pay the difference. But that means I'm basically covered for my next RSC ticket, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, so it sucks, but I got my money back. I'm just gonna play by ear, see what happens, and really take it from there. But anyway, I am 4.5 minutes in and I haven't even started on why I'm here. I'm here to review the book I have been reading, which is When the Curtain Falls by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I actually started this yesterday on my birthday, and I finished it yesterday on my birthday. So as you can tell, it's quite an easy read. And I have to say, Sorry, Carrie. I'm a fan. I think, you've got an amazing voice. You're a good actress. You can sing like wonderfully. You are a performer, but you're not a writer. I am very sorry that it's true. So, in case you don't know what this book is about, When the Curtain Falls follows two productions of the same play. So, there is one production in 1952, which stars a woman called Fawn. I was going to say Fern then, like no, Fawn. And she is starring in this play, and a situation happens where in the course of near the end of the play, a gun is brought onto stage and it goes off and lights to go out. It's all very dramatic for the scene, and sadly she was shot in the head and died instantly on what turned out to be the very final night of the show. The production just got stopped straight there and then, and the rest of the run was never finished. Fast forward to 2018, 60 years later, and When the Curtain Falls is coming back to the same theatre where she was shot dead, with these new stars called Olive and Oscar. And it's all about Olive and Oscar's relationship through the production, and also the ghost of Fawn, who haunts the theatre, has it been woken up by the fact that this play has come back, and some truths will be revealed about what happened that fatal night in 1952. So that's the gist of the story. Now, the thing with Carrie Hope Fletcher, as I said, I'm a fan of hers. I got into her career and everything and became a fan in 2000 and it was either 2018 or 2019. But weirdly, because I like to watch a load of theatre related, YouTube stuff, and I got recommended one day I remember it was a really, really hot day in summer, and I got recommended one of her videos, which was being an actress in the West End over the Christmas New Year period. So obviously very, very different from a summer video. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. And I really liked her. I thought she was, really interesting energy. It was nice to see what it was like behind the scenes for actors and actresses on the West End during the Christmas period. And I kind of just started watching her YouTube channel, and I'm really into it. I then started following her on Facebook, but she deleted her Facebook profile. So now I follow her on Instagram. So it's just YouTube and Instagram I follow her on now. And through the course of her YouTube channel, because she talks about her writing and such, I found out about her writing. So she first published a non-fiction book, which is basically that she had a blog, and this book was made up from her blog. And then she got into fiction writing. Now, if you're not aware either, Carrie's older brother is Tom Fletcher from McFly, and his wife Giovanna Fletcher is a writer. She writes a mixture of stuff. For her fiction stuff, she writes, it's like chick lit stuff, and she also does stuff like mother and children kind of writing books. She has a blog about being a mum and such, and she also won I'm a Celebrity a couple of years ago. So the family is all very musical, writing kind of family. So it was kind of not surprising that she went into writing. But I had never read any of Carrie's books, so this was the first one. And I have to say, it's not good. It's very mediocre. Bless her, Carrie. She's a performer, she's not a writer. And it's the thing, because I'd never read anything of Carrie's, I didn't know what I was going into. So I didn't have high hopes, but I didn't have low hopes either. I was just kind of going in blind, as it were, to what her style is like. and her style and me just don't work. They don't mesh. It's a bit weird. I should have realised I had this thing pop in my head like the first, I think it was like the first page, or no, there's a prologue and then there's the first chapter. So it might have been the first page on the prologue or the first page on the first chapter. But she kept on saying the word said. And I'm like, oh, he said, she said, he said, she said. And I was like, oh, girl, no, 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 no. No, no. It's an irk of mine when a writer overuses the word said, and especially does it after every time there's a bit of dialogue. And she did that right at the beginning of the book, and I'm like, oh god, that should have been a warning sign. It really should have been. I mean, she's not terrible, but it does feel like she's new to writing, and perhaps she needed to develop techniques before this got published. I looked on Goodreads, and people have said there's a lot of negative reviews at the very beginning of Goodreads of this book. I think it only got like 3.5 stars out of 5, and there are a load of 5-star reviews. I mean, that's the thing. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other. It's the way it is. But yeah, there are people saying how this book, they can see Carrie's improvement, and I'm like, if this is improvement, what was her other books like? Because this is her 3rd fiction book. So she'd written a non-fiction, gone into fiction, and this is the 3rd one. And I think for her adult fiction books, I think she's on book 5 now, and she published I think last year her first children's book, which is a modern retelling of Ballet Shoes, which is a really great story. I do like Ballet Shoes. And she's just about to publish her 2nd one, which isn't a modern retelling of a previous book. It's a completely new story. Honest to God, this book is so basically written. And by basic, I mean the whole, like, using things like he said, she said. The structuring is not that great. There's no kind of strong sentencing structure here. That I think she's more suited for a younger audience. I really do. I think she would be a stronger children's writer than an adult writer. Now, I'm not saying that she could never appeal to adults, because obviously she's written load of books and she has been very popular and such, but I truly feel like she's gotten this opportunity because of her YouTube audience following, not necessarily because she has the skill for it. But I think obviously, as I said, this is book 3, and I don't know how her writing has improved since then, and I don't know what her writing was like for the modern retelling of Ballet Shoes for a children's audience, but I really strongly believe that her writing style and structuring is so much more suitable for children. Now, here's another thing as well, right? So Carrie is a West End and theatre actress in general, because she's done like tours and such. She's gone around the world with various tours, as well as all over the UK. She's done it multiple times, and more recently she's been starring in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella as Cinderella for the past year. And so the stage is her home, and that's why I chose this one, because she kind of says how she's so proud of it and everything, and how, because she knows the theatre so well, I was like, oh, when you write about something that you love so much, or at least my experience from reading authors who have written about things that they love so much, you can feel it through the pages, and the warmth and the love towards it. It's really beautiful. But with this, it felt so odd. I felt disconnected rather than being connected. And given that the ghost element is the big hook into this, the ghost stuff has like very, very little to do with it. So it says that, yeah, theatres have a certain kind of magic. When the curtain rises, we are all entrapped by the glare of the light and the smell of the grease paint. But it's when the curtain falls that the real magic begins. So I was expecting, oh, there's going to be multiple ghosts, and are they going to have their own personalities and such? And just so that you're aware, also, Carrie loves Disney. She talks about it, you know, when if you search for Carrie Hope Fletcher Disney on YouTube, there are loads of videos of her that she's done with her family visiting Disney. Obviously, this was pre-COVID, and she hasn't been able to go back since because of her commitments to Cinderella. But that's now completed, so she might quite possibly could be able to go now. But I don't know what projects are coming up for her. So yeah, we'll just have to see. But there's loads of videos of her at Disney, and she always says, and she goes on it pretty much once, or makes reference to going onto the ride once every video, of the Haunted Manor. She loves the Haunted Manor. It's her favourite ride. Her favourite character ever in Disney is from that ride. She loves it, right? So the fact that she's writing about theatre and ghosts and such, I thought, oh god, is she going to do kind of like a, you know, the Haunted Manor kind of thing with all the different ghosts that got their own personalities and all this lot. And it just was not that whatsoever. It was just so jarring. And the fact how Olive and Oscar, I hate the fact that their names are so similar. And I also hate the fact of another thing, which I'm going to bring up in a minute, but I will say this bit first. Oh gosh, it's just completely fallen in my head what I was about to say. Oh my god, I got caught up on a thing in my mind and I went down that route. It just kind of, no, that was it. I hated the fact that when this book begins, we are already smack bang in the middle of the relationship between Olive and Oscar. You're just kind of like thrown straight into it. It's like, whoa, okay, right, and there's sort of arguments going on, and I'm like, where the fuck are we for a start? What's going on? Who are they? And she doesn't explain backstories until later, and even then the backstories are really quite brief. The characters have no depth whatsoever. The dialogue is utterly appalling, to the degree that I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but can we just realise that these people are adults having conversations where they're talking like teenagers? It's quite pathetic. Like going, I like her. Who says like when you're what? And the character that person is talking to does pull him up and says, what are you, 12? But still, it's like this conversation that's happening between grown adults, and the argument that Olive and Oscar have flares up again and again and again and again, and I'm like, girl, just walk away. Just walk away from him. If you don't want him in your life, tell him to fuck off and walk away. That's all you've got to do. But she just won't, and she irritated the hell out of me because of it. Now, there is another thing where Carrie has so clearly, even though she's denied it, and I totally understand why she denied it, but still, sorry, I've got a nail hang. It is so clear that Olive, the main character in the 2018 part of the story, is her. It's ridiculously obvious that it's her. Now, at the time that she was writing this book, she was in a relationship with a fellow actor called Oliver Ormston. She and Oliver have now split up after 5 years. They split up in January. She's moved on to a new guy. She's very happy very happy for her. She has always said that no way is this book basically a fan fiction of her and Oliver. Yes, it is. The fact that the characters' names are Olive, which is, a shortening of Oliver, and Oscar. And if you were to combine them together, take the R of Oscar, stick it on Olive, it's Oliver. You can't deny that. Also, it's so fucking clear that her best friend, Scott Page, he's really funny guy, really lovely guy, really like him. So obvious that he is in this book as one of the besties amongst the cast, one of Oliver's best friends. Olive's best friend. See, I just did it. I just said Oliver, because your mind just automatically, as a fan of his, goes to that. Yeah, it is so obvious that she has basically written all of her friends and herself into this book, even though she's denied it. And it's just, it's poorly constructed. The characters have no depth. The dialogue is dire. There is no substance to it. The ghost story is kind of a footnote until near the end. And the actual outcome of the story, I kept on saying "fuck off" out loud multiple times, because I was like, no, this is just not good. This is actually really quite pathetic. And I finished the book. I was thankful that I finished it. The fact that I got through this book in about 12 hours, and I didn't enjoy it, and it was one of those things that it was, the way that it's been written was so mediocre and so poor, in that I managed to get through it without any trouble in a whole day. Yeah, I think that tells you kind of what it was. I mean, I always do my 100 pages, see how I feel, do I carry on or not? And I carried on, but I think I carried on because I was hoping that it would get better, and it just didn't. It just didn't. And the only kind of decent chapters were the prologue, and there is a chapter which actually I marked here with the bookmarks, so I knew where it was. The last bits of a chapter, the last 3 pages of chapter 7, which start on page 148. They are the best 2 bits of this book. No joke. I mean, if it had better structuring, if she had gone deeper into the characters, if they weren't acting like children, if they actually spoke to each other like adults do, and the ghosts had more, they're kind of are multiple ghosts, but they're not. You'd have to read the book to understand what I mean by that. But if there was actually more of them, I'm not saying be like the Haunted Mansion, where it's, there's 999 ghosts, as the narration goes. And I only know that because of Carrie's videos, because she liked the Haunted Mansion. I looked into it. If there was more of the magical element that this book actually, the description at the very top, says about theatres have a certain kind of magic. If that was actually the key element of the story, like it promised that, as it suggested it would be, it would have been so much better than what this is. And if this is improvement on her previous books, I'm sorry, I don't want to read any of the others. Carrie, I think you're, amazing with your singing, with your acting, your West End career, all of that lot. Love that, babes, but not the writing, I'm afraid. It just didn't work. So I'm going to stop there because I've been rambling on long enough, because I did start this like 4.5 minutes in to this video. But yeah, those are my thoughts on When the Curtain Falls by Carrie Hope Fletcher. Time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? No. Nope, once was enough. I'm totally fine never to read this again. Would I recommend this to anyone? I would only recommend this if I had somebody who like needed a extremely fluffy, extremely light book to, I don't know, like a palate cleanser, like if they've been like focusing a lot on like serious crime and they needed something to like cleanse the palate and just reset their brain out of that mode, I might say, okay, pick up something like this. So yeah, that's the only time I would recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it otherwise. Would I read any more of Carrie's work? No. No, I'm sorry, Carrie. Love you, babes, but the stuff that you write, it's just not my cup of tea. And I really think that Carrie could improve by looking at various other writers like Celia Ahern or Colleen Hoover, you know, for Hoover, It Ends With Us, that I read the other week, and which I loved. I think the way that she does character depth and development is brilliant. So I think Carrie could learn from other authors about those things. But yeah, she needs to greatly improve her writing, structuring characters, their development, their dialogue, and the overall story structure before I will look into another one of her books. So there we go. So those are my thoughts on When the Curtain Falls by Carrie Hope Fletcher. And my next book, which I have announced, is Dangerous Women by Hope Adams, which was inspired by Hope seeing this quilt at the V&A. And it's all about the women who put the quilt together. And I am very, very excited to read this one. So I'll be back my thoughts on Hope Adams' Dangerous Women when I am done. And I'll have a video, like I said, about my sister's birthday present to me, but until it arrives, I can't do the video. So I'll be back with that video as well. Bye!